Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for all of you here. Which one of you loves to consume a story, whether it's by reading, listening, or watching? Please raise your hand. Okay, now put them back down. Now for those of you who raises their hand, if I ask you to pinpoint which part of a story do you like the most, which part would you pick? For me, I personally love conflict. And I know that it's not only me who think that. There are many people out there that also love conflict. But that got me thinking, why is conflict so interesting to me and to many other people? Well, luckily, I have found my answer, and that is because of what happened afterwards, the redemption. Do you realize this? The more intense a conflict is, the more impactful the redemption becomes. You don't believe me? Well, let me give you an example. Think about Beauty and the Beast, our beloved childhood fairy tale. You know how the story goes, right, for Beauty and the Beast? The conflict involving a prince that is cursed to be a beast, so he locked himself inside this huge tower, isolated from the other people. I'd say that's a pretty intense conflict. But what about the redemption? Well, this beast met a young lady called Belle, who is originally his prisoner, but after living together for a while, they fell in love with each other. And because of that, Beast's curse got lifted. Isn't that such a beautiful and impactful redemption? And it makes the story way more engaging. Well, it's not only Beauty and the Beast that have that kind of storyline. Many stories out there follow the same 3 stages, and that is the setup, the conflict, and redemption. Now, I know this is a bit sudden, but I'm going to stop talking about stories for a while. I want you to focus on the 3 stages that I mentioned before. Don't you think those stages felt familiar? Like you've experienced it before? Or you know someone that has experienced it before? Well, maybe it's because this doesn't only happen in stories, but also in real life. After all, stories are just a reflection of real life, right? And that's why most authors goes for that type of storyline. They know that it's relatable for us and thus engaging for us. But what if I tell you that there's a certain group of people that is expected to not experience all 3 stages? They are expected to never fall in their entire life. As crazy as it may sound, there are some people that carries those burdens, and unfortunately, I am one of them. You know, from a young age, I've always been told that I'm a very smart kid academically. But somewhere along the way, those compliments started to become an identity, a burden. And before long, I realized that for me, excellence isn't a goal. It is the bare minimum of what I'm allowed to be. If you think that people around me are cruel for thinking like that, they're really not. I mean, have you met someone who is academically smart before? So much so that you think they would ace any exam even if they didn't study? Or maybe if they fail at one point, you think, that's rare. Well, I don't want to assume, but I'm sure you have those kind of thoughts before. And yes, that is exactly the kind of expectation that I grew up in. And so for most of my life, I've always feared the moments when I might stumble and fall. Not because I doubt my ability to recover, but because I know that the moment I fell, everyone would be disappointed of me. Their expectation shattered in an instant. That's why I work really hard in order to maintain those expectations. But now I realize that that mindset is incredibly flawed. You know why? Because it traps me. Growing doesn't feel like moving ahead anymore. It felt like I'm just standing in one spot. I'm not moving backwards, sure, but at the same time, I'm also not making any progress forward. And at one point, I just had to ask myself, hey, who am I working so hard for? And to be honest, the answer isn't for me. It is for the version of me that existed in everyone's eyes. But now I know that, you know what? It's okay to fail. It's okay if I disappoint someone and shatter their expectation. Do you remember what I said in the beginning? That the more intense a conflict is, the more impactful the redemption becomes? Well, I also believe that goes the same in real life. Our journey became more impactful to other people if we had experienced a conflict before. Let me give you a brief illustration. Let's talk about Beauty and the Beast again, shall we? Well, imagine if Beauty and the Beast has no conflict. Imagine if the prince didn't get cursed and Belle didn't get kidnapped. So the rest of the story is just going to be about the prince and Belle living their normal, mundane life. Sure, it might be interesting somehow, but compared to the original story with many ups and downs, I'd say the original story is way better. Well, this goes back to my point. It is okay to fall, and rather, it may actually be a good thing, because that means you can make more progress moving forward. And then you can tell this journey of yours to many other people all around the world. Look, I know that despite me saying all of this, falling is still scary. I mean, if I ask you right here, right now, do you want to fall? Of course you'd say no. But still, let's embrace it. By accepting the fall as part of our journey, then we have made the first step of our redemption arc. And from that point, we can then build an even more beautiful story until we reach the epilogue. That is all from me, and thank you for listening to my story.